Okay, welcome back to part two of this video. And again, you're apt to be tested on anything in these videos, but I'm trying to tell you, especially the stuff that really trips people up is going to be on the test. So if you hear me say that, just know you might want to perk your ears up. Now, every course you take has contact hours, and I'm going to talk about that by looking at the syllabus. And like I say, when I switch windows, it tends to drop, so I have to come. So it did drop. So when I switch windows for whatever reason, it does that. So you'll see kind of some gaps. So just apologize. It's just the way this thing is. But anyway, if you'll take a look, this particular course has 90 contact hours in it. Again, this may not be your course, and this is part of what we're going to cover individually. But if you're taking this across a 15-week semester, and it's not hybrid, this one is, then you can divide that 90 by 15 and see what the state requires you to be in class for every semester for that course. This would translate into 6 hours per week, 6 physical hours in the classroom, unless it's hybrid. So what we do, if it is hybrid, more than 50% of your time needs to be spent in the lab. So the rest of it can be done at home. The theory, maybe if there's chapter questions and that kind of thing can be done at home, but labs and other things need to be done in the classroom. So what we typically do with these hybrid classes is we'll take those hours and say, all right, 90 divided by 15, if it's a fall or spring semester, is 6 hours a week. And we'll cut it in half and say, all right, instead of 6 hours a week, the student has to be here, what half would be 3 hours, we round to the next hour. So you'd have to be here 4 hours a week. So it does reduce your contact time by having the ability to do some of this stuff off campus. That doesn't mean you have to do it off campus. It just means you are allowed to do it. You can be here the entire time we're here if you want to be. So it's not a case of you can only be here a certain amount of hours, but it is a case of you need to be here a certain amount of hours. And it's probably going to lose you here. Let me see if I can go back without doing that. Let's see if so you realize that you have to be here a certain amount of hours. We'll go through that. We use a clock out there. We'll have to put you in the clock system. That's how we track your hours. Here's the catch. If you fail to be here the total amount of contact hours for more than 20% of the semester, and we do that on a week-by-week basis, then we can and possibly will drop you from your course. So if there's 15 weeks, 10% of 15 weeks is 1.5 weeks, 20% is 3 weeks. So if you fail to make your contact hours for 3 weeks out of the semester, we could possibly and may very well drop you from your courses. You would then have to file an appeal and justify how you're going to get your coursework done in the lesser amount of time now. And you have to do that through at least my dean or my division chair. So best thing to do is not have that happen. But you got to clock in and out of that clock just like you would on the job, and you got to meet those contact hours for 80% of the semester. If you fail to do that, we can and possibly will drop you. Now, does that mean we're merciless in things? If your company is in Thailand and they want to send you on a 3-week journey to Thailand, learning some new skill there that helps benefit your company, are we going to drop you because your company is making you go to Thailand? No. But odds are, if you know you're going to Thailand, you'll know it in time to contact us. If you let us know that, we can kind of work with you to still get your work done, still accomplish what you need for your company. And there may be other rare exceptions with family matters too. But the big thing there is communication. Something new, speaking of communication, is we are going to require you to interact with us on a weekly basis through some form of communication. Every week, we're going to send something out to you that you need to respond to. Generally, it's going to be your progress in your course or courses to that date, but it may be something else. But this is just to keep you engaged, just to make sure you're out there, just to make sure you're listening, So guess what? You're going to need to pay attention to the announcements in Blackboard. You need to pay attention to your student email, because that's going to be a part of your grade, is whether or not you respond to these communications. And guess what? That happens college-wise. I'm enrolled in a 4-year college right now, and guess what we have to do every week? That's correct. Interact with our instructors and at times other students. You're going to be doing some of that as well. So it's not going to take a lot of your time. We're not talking about something that's going to take more than probably 15 or 20 minutes of your time, but it's going to take some time, and it is an expectation. Hours that you can be here. We're going to start publishing our classroom hours in Blackboard each semester. We've got a fixed schedule now, and we typically have 2 or 3 nights that we're open until 10 p.m. But rather than put that in this video, we want it where you can access it anytime. So inside of Blackboard, and I know when I change screens, it's going to quit recording. So inside of Blackboard, there is a place called Instructor Information. That's going to give you your primary instructor if it's not me. So for instance, if your primary instructor is Fred, it's going to give you his information. Below it will be mine, and below that will be the hours that our lab is open this semester. So why am I in all courses? Well, my adjuncts are paid for the time they're here, plus a little bit of time they need to spend grading papers and turning in grades and things like that. So they're paid for what they accomplish. I'm the guy that's overall responsible in one sense, not every sense, so 24/7. So I'm the guy, if it's Friday afternoon, you've got a question about your course, I'm the guy you need to email. Not Fred, not Steve. I don't mind you emailing them, but just be aware that they're less likely to respond to you on the weekends simply because I'm your full-time instructor, and these are not online classes. If it were online, that would be a different ballgame. But if you have a question, I will do my best to answer it even on the weekend if it's something I can answer in 5 minutes or so. If it's a 30-minute dissertation on Thevenin's theorem or something much more complex, I'm probably going to ask you to let me work with you during the week. So that's that. But under this instructor information, you'll find your primary instructor, which could be me. If not, you'll find my contact information, Lee Radney, and my email address. And then you'll also find our lab hours that you're available to come out here. So I'm going to switch screens again. I'm sure it'll stop. I'm kind of getting used to that now. But most of all, always feel free to ask for help from anybody at any point in time. All right, kind of getting down here, and I know I'm skipping around a little bit, but one thing I did fail to mention up here is we are a tobacco-free campus. That means nowhere on our grounds, even inside your locked car, can you use tobacco products. You have to be off our campus. Kind of failed to hit that a little bit earlier. We talked about courses being stacked already. And we're going to have some definitive dates. You're going to finish one before you start the next. That's just the way it should be. We're going to give you hard dates. And let me go to the second page of this. I hope it doesn't quit recording. Nope. And something happened. What happened? Okay, yeah. See right here, hard completion date. You'll have a copy of this after you sign it, and you will know what your hard completion date is. So this shouldn't be a surprise to any of us. So you're going to sign that stating that you understand that, and we should hopefully get people to progress as they should. We had an awful lot of procrastinators this semester. We've had them others. We've got to do something to require students to be a little more on task. Time in labs. Be productive. Don't just ride the clock. That applies especially at night. We do require, the state requires you to be here a certain amount of contact hours. But while you're here, just be productive. We have had students that apparently maybe not have internet access at home, but they'll come out here at 8 o'clock and want to just watch Google videos, YouTube videos until 10 o'clock. That's not what the lab is designed for. That's not what the college is designed for. If you've been studying an hour and a half and need a 10-minute break, that's fine. But if that's the primary purpose of your being here, then don't just ride the clock. Be productive. Equipment is generally first come, first serve, but some equipment may have a checklist. If we start seeing that, we had one that was primarily, so we're making some changes there. But generally, we don't have a problem. Clean up after yourself. Maintain this classroom and lab better than you found it. That simply means if you've got paper that was left on the desk as you're leaving, and it's yours, grab it. If you happen to see some that's wadded up that's not yours, please grab it too. Be a good steward. And you are required to participate in class and lab cleanings. That usually takes 15-20 minutes a week. Again, we talked about the discussion questions. Generally, those are going to be given to you about where your progress is, but we may have something a little more fun than that on occasion. Something new, you're going to be required to do a lab video on something that with one or two other students. So we want you to have some interaction with your fellow students. So we'll be adding those as we speak, and you'll see those in there. So we've got a video camera here, works great. Some of your material, we want it to be, this does not have to be a Hollywood grade video. What I'm giving you here is far from a Hollywood grade video, and I've already made a couple of oopsies and had to straighten out. That's fine. If you're doing a video, we don't expect anything less. Be aware that we may use these videos as a teaching tool for other students, so we want it to be correct. So we'll be looking at those. Anytime you're out there in the lab, we want you to have your safety glasses on. Do it if you're doing any kind of mechanical work or working with live circuits. So I'm going to skip this emergency information here in just a second, and I'm going to come down here and notice we've got course 1, course 2, course 3, and course 4. I've never had anybody take more than 4 courses inside of electronics or mechatronics, but if we do, we'll figure out a way to do it. But we're going to let you know which course we want you to start with. We're going to make sure it's showing up and working like it should, and we're going to make sure you understand what your hard completion date is for that course, and then we're going to set these courses to begin and end based on those dates. Now, again, if you get through early, we do not mind you coming to us and saying, hey, I need to get access to my second course I've done early, because we need to do two things. We need to make sure you really are done. Make sure you've gotten us everything that you should have gotten us for that first course. And then we'll turn on your second course where you can see it. You'll also be required, let's just say, for instance, this requires you, course 1 requires you to be here 4 hours a week. Course 2 requires you to be here 2 hours a week. We need to know how you're going to fulfill your obligation of a minimum of 6 hours a week. We're here Monday through Thursday, some days longer than others. Again, you'll find that under your instructor information. But we need to know generally, does that mean you can't come except those hours? Absolutely not. Work may require you to work over, your car may break down. You're welcome here anytime we're here. We just need a general concept of when you're going to be here. We're also going to ask you for a contact number. This contact number is not so we can call you and nag you and try to sell you products or anything like that, extended car warranties and the good stuff. Occasionally we'll have something happen like a water main break, and we've had to close the school for those reasons. We'll try to contact you. Some of you drive a long way to come to class. We'll try to save you a trip here, and gas money and all that good kind of stuff. So that's our only reason for needing that information. So that kind of about concludes this video, other than the emergency information. I'm going to make that a separate video. And then also I'm going to talk about some LMSs that may be in your course. If you don't see a video about LMSs, you'll know, but that don't need to watch that one. But that's pretty much it. But one thing I want to drive into everybody, don't hesitate to ask us for help. That is why we're here. We want to help you. Nothing makes me happier than to help a student learn something he or she is having trouble with. So feel free to ask us at any time.